New players are not casual players. Say it with me. New players are not necessarily casual players. So I got the idea to make this video because of two things. One, because of the responses our Dune review got. And two, because I watched this video from TMM, a Tekken YouTuber, react to a Tekken review from a guy named Leffen, who's a guy who plays pretty much every fighting game under the sun. So let's immediately establish what I mean when I say that new players are not necessarily casual players. A new player is someone who is new to the game, and a casual player is someone who is treating games with a more relaxed mindset. They don't take said thing as seriously. So in other words, they don't give a fuck. So being casual is something I would attribute more to someone's mindset. But it also has the implicit implication that they're less skilled because of their nature of being more casual about the game. This is why it's a totally reasonable statement to say something like, I would never play Dune or Twilight Imperium 4 with a casual player. It's simply too much for them. Yeah, that statement makes sense, okay? Like we can all agree with that here, okay? But here's where the problem lies. There's too many people out there who are conflating new players with casual players. Do not fucking do this. Say I'm playing, I don't know, Terraforming Mars. This is a game I have never played in my goddamn life. I had so many opportunities in college, and yet I somehow missed all of them. So what the hell would you call me? A new player. Not a player who's new to the hobby, just a new player specifically for Terraforming Mars. Believe me, I am most certainly not a casual board gamer. I've literally been playing board games non-stop and writing reviews on them for the last 9 months. And before that, I've been into the hobby for like 5 years. I have played a shitload of games. My friends all have a shitload of games. I have a shitload of games. I've been playing a shitload of games. Whatever, point is, it's possible for me to be a new player. But it's also possible for me to not be a filthy casual. And so it's with all of this in mind that I say, while it is fairly common for a casual player to be a new player, they are not necessarily the same thing, and a new player is not always a casual player. But yeah, this rant was basically spurred by, you remember the start of this video, I randomly just brought up Tekken, this dude named TMM, and another dude named Leffen. So basically the story here is that this YouTuber for Tekken, called TMM, stands for the main man, he basically is reacting to Leffen's Tekken 7 review. And for context here, Leffen is a guy who's basically played like all the fighting games out there. He just goes and plays just a full of fighting games. And needless to say, I was pretty triggered by TMM's response. Nothing against the guy. I'm not shitting on him.
Yeah, I'm not shitting on him. Again, I'm not shitting on Mr. Leffen here.
Makes tons of great content for Tekken. Mad respect. I will say though that TMM totally missed the point of Leffen's complaint that Tekken is a lot to handle for newcomers. And this is because TMM pulled the classic move where he conflated new player with casual player. He basically just strawmanned this hypothetical dude who is both a new and casual player. He's playing Tekken, and that's just apparently how everyone's new player experience should be. He's just having a good time. He's around, doesn't care about anything. He says, yep, whatever, I'm playing Tekken. I'm a casual, I'm just doing whatever, and it's funny, wow. So of course, in this hypothetical casual player, he's casual, he doesn't care about really improving that quickly or whatever. He's just playing the games, having fun, right? That's fine and all, but Leffen's entire point was that he liked to play fighting games where both players are kind of like on the same level and know what the they're doing. You know, so he can feel like both players are like actually playing the game. And this means that both players are informed about each other's characters and what they're capable of, how the game works, right? That way you get this beautiful back and forth where, you know, both of them know what's going on there. They know the rules of the game. They're playing it, you know? Because, you know, a lot of what makes games interesting, they're competitive, is, you know, looking at what your opponent is doing and playing around that. And for context, you might be wondering why the hell am I bringing up Tekken? What does that have to do with anything? Tekken is a game that's very fucking hard to get into. Okay, it is a 3D fighter. There's like 40 plus characters. Actually, I think it's actually already at 50 right now. And every character can have anywhere from like 50 to like 200 moves. That is a load of complexity and not necessarily a ton of depth. If you want to play optimally, then you're gonna have to learn like thousands upon thousands of moves that are in the game, and then you gotta apply that to your own character's moves, so you know which of your own moves you should be using in retaliation to counter and punish to whatever the hell your opponent's doing. And when it comes to punishing, obviously you can just always get away with being like, oh, I'm gonna punish you with my fastest move. The reward there's so much less than if you actually like know the ins and out completely of your own character and their character. You can get away with punishing with a slightly slower move that's giving you so much more damage in return. And for context, for those of you who don't play fighting games, punishing is basically just a term that's used in a lot of video games in general, where if someone is doing something that you can punish, right? So like they make a mistake, you can guaranteed punish them for making that mistake in whatever way. In a fighting game, it's probably you're hitting them back for something that's pretty guaranteed you do a bunch of damage. This usually comes in the form of you like blocking some move and then you just hit them back in return. So because of Tekken's insane complexity, it would take a new player a insane amount of time to get to a point where they're like familiar with all the moves. And that's not even accounting for just dying to random dumb bullshit, because we all know that every game out there that has a ton of asymmetry is always gonna have some fucker with some special thing that breaks the pre-established rules of the game. But now you see a casual player, they might not necessarily care about this. They're gonna get hit with dumb bullshit, but then they just do it right back. It's all fine, it's fun, like whatever, who cares, we're having a great time. But say your idea of fun isn't so casual. Say you like to play games at a high enough level where both players are fully cognizant and aware of everything the game has to offer. You know, people are like doing cool things and playing around each other, reacting, having to actually be smart about what they're doing with their own tool sets and using it to beat their other opponent's tool sets and their applied skill and everything in between. So if that's what you like doing, unless you already happen to just really like the game for whatever reason, then you're probably not going to have the greatest experience as a new player until you get to that point where you feel satisfied in being able to compete. So the more complex a game, the longer you have to be a new player. And this brings me back to board games, where I once again have to remind everyone, new players are not the same thing as casual players. So like if I'm talking about Dune, like no f***ing shit, I would never play the game with casual players. What the but when I'm talking about how a game plays for new players, I don't give a shit how hardcore you are. The first time anyone plays a game, they are a new player. Basically, if you're watching our reviews, I am deliberately saying new players and not casual players, because most of the time I am not addressing casual players. But that's totally okay, and even if you are more casual, we hope that watching our reviews are super informative to you as a new player, regardless of whether or not you are a casual player. Because we definitely write them to be as helpful as possible to new players who don't know any goddamn thing about said game we're talking about. And this is also probably why we value accessibility so much in board games, because, oh my god, this esoteric as hobby doesn't need any more goddamn barriers to entry as is. And God knows that producing more streamlined, sleek games that are just way more just easy to jump into is only doing good for attracting newcomers. And that's something that benefits all players, new players, regardless of whether or not they're casual. So yeah, that's my rant. New players aren't casual players. Don't conflate them. I'm out.